The last scenario that we'll be working on here is scenario 4B, where we are going to work on large feature branch-based changes to the data model, and where we are going to be working on the data model in parallel, right? So one feature in clone 1 will be working on the animals, and another feature in clone 2 will be working on the cars, right? So these things are going to happen in parallel, and then as you will see in this commit graph over here, the animals are going to be committed first into the main creating a version 2.0, and then the cars will need to pull from that first, and then merge that into their cars feature, merge that back into the main as well. Right, so again, that's where we'll be resolving some conflicts. But let's take a look at that, and we'll get started. We'll get started in clone 1, right? So in clone 1, we will grab the original file, and we are going to add a new collection here, which is the animals collection. In the animals collection, we will add an attribute, which is an object ID, which we are going to call ID, right? We're also going to add another property here that is going to be the name. And then we are also going to add the last property, which is the movie ID, right? Which we are going to be referencing a little bit later. Right, now we have work well underway on this new feature. So we will save it into the local clone, and we will push it, right? We will commit it and push it with a new feature started, which is the animals feature, and we will add that to the feature animals branch, right? So this is now being committed and being pushed to the feature animals branch in clone 1, right? Now we'll switch to clone 2. This is the second step, where we will be adding a new cars feature, right? So in clone 2, we're still in the main branch, right? We will open that up. There is no sight of the animals here yet, and we will start a new collection, which is the cars collection. And in the cars collection, we are going to add an object ID property, which is going to be our ID. We're also going to add a name, or let's call it a make, right? So this is the brand or the make of the car. And we're also going to add a model, right? And we are going to add a movie ID, right? We're going to add this to this collection over there, right? Same thing, we're in clone 2 here, right? We are going to save this, and we are going to commit and push this, adding the cars feature to the new branch, right? And this new branch is going to be the feature cars branch, right? So let me commit that and push that. So now we have these two tracks going on, right? We have the feature animals and we have the feature cars happening in parallel. So let's make a change to the animals, then make a change to the cars, another change to the animals, and then another change to the cars, and then we merge things back into the main. Let's go and do that, right? So we'll switch to clone 1, and we are going to open this up, the model. And what we'll do there is I'm going to connect this one, right, the movie ID here. I'm going to connect that to the ID over there. I'm going to indicate the cardinality 0 to n, yeah, and save that in clone 1. And again, I'm going to commit and push that to the animals branch, right? So adding the relationship, right, to the branch. Great. So now I'll do something similar in clone 2, right? I'll go into clone 2 and open up the file and create a relationship between this movie ID over here and the movies over there, right? Let's add the cardinality correctly here as well, 0 to n, right? And save that and commit that, adding the relationship for the cars, commit and push that into the feature cars branch. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and submit this for review, right? So I want to merge the cars. Can we please add the cars feature to the main model, right? And I will open up a pull request for that, right? Then, Since I am the first to add something to the main, there will not be any conflict, so I can just merge it in. The feature cars have now been merged into the main. If I go into the main over here, it will ask me to pull, which is normal, right? And now the main has this new feature available as well in clone 2, right? So the cars are right here now, right? If I now switch to clone 1, and then I try to do something similar, right? I have a completely new feature, right? The animals feature, requesting to add the animals to the main model, right? And open that pull request. Then, of course, it's going to say, well, that requires you to update first. And when you do that, then it's going to say that there is a potential conflict that I need to solve. And when I do that, right, it will say, well, there have now been new additions, right, that have been created here, right? So let me see here. This is Mflix. These are the collections, right? So the animals have been added over here. The cars have been added over there, right? So I want to keep both of them, right? So animals and cars are going to be part of my merged model. So I'm going to say, let's solve this, right? And as I solve this, I can also merge everything into the main branch. That means that I will have to pull. And when I go and switch to the main branch over here, I will also need to pull. When I open it up from the main branch in clone 1, I should have both of these entities available. Exactly. Cars and animals have been developed in parallel, and they're both available in clone 1 now. So therefore, I can commit that, merged model, commit and push that. And when I go into clone 2, I will, of course, now see something very similar once I have pulled from the remote. Right, so here we go. We have everything in clone 2 now as well. Both the cars and the animals have been added to the model. So that's great. We can also now go back into our GitHub repo and remove the feature branches, right? Let's say that they have served their purpose and have been fully developed now, right? So those are gone now from the clone 2. I can also keep that same thing and remove that from clone 1, right? So feature animals and clean that up. So now we have an environment that is ready for the next feature. Great. With that, I'm going to wrap up this scenario 4 and also wrap up this tutorial. So let me transition to a couple of final slides there. Well, that's it for this quite long tutorial. I hope you were able to learn something and that you were able to find something of value for your specific environment. Hopefully, some of the reading material that we provide is also going to help you, right? Our documentation, our blog, the book that we have written, that Pascal has written on the topic of MongoDB data modeling and schema design, together with Daniel Kupal of MongoDB and Steve Hoberman. And then, of course, everything we publish on LinkedIn, Twitter, please take a look at that. Also, warmly invite you to take a look at the product itself, at the Calculate Studio itself, because it's available for you to download, for you to test out in your environment and get the value that we think it can deliver for you specifically. Thank you for paying attention. If you have any additional questions, please reach out. I would love to have a conversation with you. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to wish you a wonderful rest of your day. The next scenario.